In the middle of his father's elaborate 60th birthday toast at the crowded family home in suburban Chicago, Emilio felt the world tilt as Carlos raised his glass and declared with a voice full of disappointment that carried across the backyard, "You have always been my biggest disappointment, son, choosing this gay lifestyle instead of the family values I taught you." The words landed like a physical blow, silencing the laughter and clinking glasses as relatives turned to stare, some with pity, others with judgment. Emilio stood there, his hand instinctively reaching for David, who sat beside him, the man he had finally mustered the courage to bring as his partner after years of hiding. David squeezed his hand back, his eyes steady and supportive, but the damage was done. Emilio's heart pounded with a mix of shame and rising anger he had suppressed for so long. Growing up in this tight-knit Latino-American family, he had always tried to be the perfect son, good grades, helping at the family business, even dating girls in high school to please his father. But the truth had clawed its way out over the years, first to his sister Sophia in college, then to his mother in tearful whispers, and finally to his father last year in a confrontation that ended with slammed doors and weeks of silence. Now at this milestone celebration meant to honor Carlos' hard work as a construction company owner who immigrated from Mexico decades ago, the mask was ripped away publicly. "You think I chose this to hurt you?" Emilio's voice cracked but gained strength as he addressed the room. "This is who I am, Dad. David is the one who makes me happy, who sees me for who I really am." Gasps rippled through the guests. His mother Maria clutched her rosary, tears welling in her eyes, while Sophia looked torn between loyalty to her brother and the family expectations. Uncles and aunts whispered among themselves, the air thick with the scent of grilled carne asada and the underlying tension of unspoken prejudices. Carlos' face reddened, his birthday cake forgotten on the table. "After everything I have sacrificed for this family, this is how you repay me, parading your sin in front of everyone. You are no son of mine if you continue down this path." The finality in his voice shattered something deep inside Emilio. Years of therapy, self-doubt, nights questioning his worth all surfaced in that moment. He had come hoping for acceptance on this special day, perhaps a small step toward bridging the gap. Instead, it was a public declaration of rejection. David stood up beside him, tall and calm, his teacher's presence commanding quiet respect. "Mr. Ramirez, with all due respect, your son is an incredible man. Loving him is not a choice or a disappointment. It is the best thing that has ever happened to me." But Carlos waved him off dismissively. "This is family business. You do not belong here." Emilio felt the familiar pull of guilt, the voice in his head that said maybe he should apologize, smooth things over, go back to pretending. But something had shifted. The humiliation burned away the last of his hesitation. "I am done trying to be someone I am not," he said, clearly looking his father in the eye. "If loving David makes me a disappointment, then I guess that is what I am to you. But I am not staying here anymore. I am leaving tonight." The room erupted in murmurs. Maria reached out, pleading, "Emilio, Mijo, please do not do this. It is your father's birthday." Sophia stepped forward, her face pale. "Bro, think about it. We can talk later." But Emilio shook his head, the decision crystallizing with surprising clarity. He had a life waiting beyond these walls, a job offer in San Francisco. He had been considering David by his side, and the chance to breathe without the constant weight of disapproval. As they gathered their things amid the awkward goodbyes and averted gazes, Emilio's mind raced with memories. The childhood soccer games where his father pushed him to be tough, the family dinners where being different was never discussed, the secret nights crying alone after failed attempts to fix himself through prayer and denial. David waited by the car, giving him space but ready to support. "You do not have to do this alone," David said softly when Emilio finally emerged, suitcase in hand. Driving away from the only home he had known, the city lights of Chicago blurring past, Emilio allowed the tears to flow. "I just wanted him to be proud of me," he whispered. David placed a hand on his knee. "He will one day, or maybe not. But you have to be proud of yourself first." The road ahead felt uncertain, filled with the fear of the unknown, but also a spark of liberation. Little did Emilio know that this departure would set in motion a chain of events, forcing his family to confront their own regrets and the true cost of their words. The next hours were a blur of packing essentials from his apartment, calls to his boss about the transfer, and the logistics of uprooting his life. His mother left voicemails alternating between guilt trips and pleas. "Your father did not mean it that way. Come back for the family." But Emilio steeled himself. The pain was too raw. By dawn, he and David were on the highway, west of vast American landscape opening up before them like a promise of reinvention. They stopped at a roadside motel that night, the neon sign flickering as they collapsed onto the bed, exhausted but together. Emilio stared at the ceiling, replaying the party over and over, the looks, the words, the finality. David pulled him close without saying anything, just being there, the steady rhythm of his breathing, a reminder that he was not alone. In the morning, they continued to drive, talking about what San Francisco might hold: new jobs, new friends, a life without the shadow of disapproval hanging over every holiday, every phone call. Emilio felt a strange mix of grief and excitement as the miles ticked by, each one putting distance between him and the pain, but also opening space for something new. By the time they crossed into California, the sun was setting in a blaze of orange and pink, and for the first time in years, Emilio allowed himself to imagine a future where he did not have to apologize for loving David. The California sun warmed the dashboard as Emilio and David pulled into San Francisco. After 3 long days on the road, the city's iconic skyline rising like a beacon of possibility. Unpacking boxes in their small but sunlit apartment in the Mission District felt like shedding an old skin, the way of Chicago, and the birthday party slowly lifting with every item placed on shelves. David hummed while arranging books. Emilio hung photos of their college days when they first met in a literature class, both hiding their truths, until one late-night conversation changed everything. That memory brought a small smile to Emilio's face, the kind of genuine connection he had craved his whole life. Yet the nights were harder. Lying awake, Emilio replayed the party, the way his father's voice had cracked with anger, not just disappointment, but something deeper, a fear of what the neighbors would say, what the church would think. David noticed the restlessness and suggested they explore the city together, starting with a walk through the bustling streets filled with diverse faces and open expressions. They stopped at a cafe where rainbow flags waved proudly, and for the first time, Emilio ordered coffee without glancing over his shoulder. David shared stories from his own coming out years earlier, his parents more accepting, but still distant, teaching Emilio that healing took time. They talked about boundaries, Emilio deciding to block his family's numbers for now to give himself space to breathe. Work began quickly at a graphic design firm downtown, the creative energy matching the city's vibe. Colleagues welcomed him without questions about his personal life, and soon Emilio found himself laughing during lunch breaks, sharing ideas freely. Evenings were for David long talks over takeout walks along the waterfront where the Golden Gate Bridge glowed in the distance. One afternoon, they drove to a quiet spot overlooking the bay, David reminding him that family was not just blood but chosen bonds. Emilio nodded, feeling the truth settle in his chest, the anger softening into sadness, but not regret for leaving. Flashbacks came unbidden during quiet moments, the family vacations where he played the role of straight son, the holidays where silence about his dating life spoke volumes. But here in San Francisco, surrounded by people living openly, he began to see his own strength. David encouraged him to join a local support group for queer professionals, where stories of similar journeys helped normalize the pain. Slowly, the apartment filled with their life, plants on windowsills, art on walls, laughter echoing off the walls. Emilio started sketching again, designs inspired by the city's colors and resilience mirroring his own. The move was not escape but rebirth, and as weeks turned to months, the sting in his father's words dulled, replaced by a quiet determination to build something real. Yet deep down he wondered if the family he left behind felt any echo of the void he had created by walking away. File 3. Months in San Francisco brought a rhythm Emilio never imagined possible: mornings at the design studio, afternoons discovering hidden parks, evenings cooking with David in their cozy kitchen. The city's fog burned off, revealing blue skies that matched the lightness in his heart as he embraced routines free from judgment. One sunny weekend, they packed a picnic basket and headed to Golden Gate Park, the vast green space alive with joggers, families, and musicians. Under a cluster of blooming flowers, they spread a blanket, laughing over sandwiches and stories from their past, David teasing Emilio about his terrible first date attempts before they met. In that moment, surrounded by the vibrant natural light, Emilio felt truly seen, the romantic ease between them a balm for old wounds. Work offered new challenges, a big campaign for a local nonprofit promoting inclusivity, and Emilio poured his creativity into it, earning praise from his boss. Friendships formed naturally through the support group and office happy hours, people who shared laughs over coffee without hidden agendas. Yet family silence gnawed him. Late-night checks of old email accounts revealed nothing from home, no calls, no texts. He confided in David during a quiet walk the fear that he had caused irreparable harm, but David reminded him the choice was his father's to bridge the gap, not his to fix alone. Internal struggles surfaced in therapy sessions. Emilio, unpacking the cultural expectations of machismo and legacy that had shaped his childhood, the pressure to conform for his parents' immigrant dreams. David listened patiently, their bond deepening through shared vulnerabilities, small gestures like surprise notes or holding hands in public spaces that once terrified Emilio. The park picnic became a turning point, a joyful memory of carefree romance that reinforced his decision to leave. Colleagues invited them to community events where acceptance flowed naturally, contrasting sharply with a party back home. Emilio started volunteering at a youth center, helping queer teens navigate identity, the work giving purpose and perspective on his own journey. As fall approached with crisp air and changing, leave the city felt like home, the past a distant chapter. Still, the question lingered: what if his departure had forced his family to see the cracks in their rigid world? The call from Sophia came on a rainy Tuesday, shattering the fragile peace Emilio had built. His sister sounded hesitant, her voice cracking as she mentioned their mother's declining health and the family's unspoken regrets since the party. Emilio listened, gripping the phone, his heart racing with conflicting emotions, love for his family clashing with the protective walls he had erected. David sat nearby, offering silent support as Emilio navigated the conversation, carefully promising nothing but feeling the pull of old loyalties. After hanging up, he paced the apartment, the misunderstanding clear. Sophia thought time had healed what words could not. Workplace bias emerged subtly, a client questioning his creative vision with veiled comments about lifestyle choices, Emilio handling it with professionalism, but the incident stirring old insecurities. David helped him process it over dinner, their conversation turning to commitment deeper than ever before. Emilio realized the growth he had achieved, standing firm in his identity, no longer seeking approval from those who withheld it. Flashbacks to childhood pressures, the forced sports, the silent dinners resurfaced, but now he saw them as chapters, not definitions. Therapy sessions focused on forgiveness, not for his father, but for himself, releasing the guilt of being the one to leave. The sister call led to sleepless nights, Emilio debating a response, but choosing distance for now, the pain too fresh. David suggested a weekend getaway to clear his head, reinforcing their partnership as the true foundation. Friends from the support group shared similar stories of family rifts and slow rebuilds, offering hope without pressure. Emilio's designs evolved, bolder, more authentic, reflecting his inner strength, the career milestone of leading a team project boosting his confidence. The conflict with external prejudice and family outreach tested his resolve, but each challenge clarified his path: self-acceptance over reconciliation on unfair terms. As winter rains gave way to spring blooms, Emilio felt the internal crisis resolve into clarity, his departure not an end but a necessary beginning. Spring in California brought renewal, and Emilio and David planned a short escape to a quiet beach town south of San Francisco, the sun-drenched coast perfect for reflection. Walking hand in hand along the pristine sands, waves sparkling under bright light, Emilio felt the joy of their bond, the romantic freedom to be openly affectionate without fear. They shared a tender moment, kissing as the golden hour bathed everything in warmth, laughter mixing with the ocean, sound a reminder of why he left the constraints behind. David spoke of future dreams, building a life together, perhaps adopting a dog or traveling more, the conversation light yet profound. Back in the city, career success followed, Emilio leading a major campaign launch that garnered local media attention, his name mentioned in design circles for the first time. The achievement felt sweeter shared with David, their apartment filled with celebratory flowers and takeout from favorite spots. Yet the beach trip highlighted lingering family shadows, occasional mentions and calls with Sophia revealing his father's stubborn silence mixed with quiet questions about Emilio's well-being. Emilio set boundaries, explaining his need for space, the sacrifice of distance weighing heavy but necessary for growth. External prejudice at a networking event tested him again, but this time he responded with confidence, drawing on the strength built since leaving. David proposed a symbolic commitment, not marriage yet, but a promise to face life together, the moment filled with emotion and hope. Their relationship milestones, non-physical but deeply connective, built resilience against doubts. The joyful beach memory carried them through challenging days, reinforcing the romantic core of their partnership. As summer approached, Emilio realized the departure had opened doors to authenticity and love, unapologetic, the family regret beginning to surface in indirect ways through his sister's updates. The news of his father's heart scare arrived via Sophia late one evening, her voice urgent, describing the hospital stay and the family's fear. Emilio froze, the internal debate raging, love versus self-preservation, David listening as he weighed returning to Chicago. After hours of discussion, they decided on a short visit, Emilio setting clear terms, no rehashing the past, only support for recovery. The flight east felt heavy with anticipation, the city he left behind now foreign, yet familiar. At the hospital, tension simmered, Carlos pale on the bed, but eyes sharp with old judgments, Maria hovering anxiously, Sophia mediating. Conversation stayed surface level, Emilio sharing SF life vaguely, avoiding David at first, then introducing him firmly. The family emergency forced reflections, his mother admitting the party words haunted her, the misunderstanding that silence could fix what confrontation broke. Emilio stood his ground, explaining the pain of being labeled disappointment, betrayal of conditional love. His father's health scare highlighted the fragility of life, prompting small concessions, but old views lingered, creating high-stakes emotional exchanges. The visit lasted a week, filled with hospital vigils, family meals where awkwardness hung thick. David provided quiet strength, helping Emilio navigate the crisis without losing his hard-won peace. Returning to the airport, Emilio felt the weight lift slightly, the partial apologies from his mother and sister planting seeds of change. The departure again reinforced his choices, the family beginning to sense the void his absence created. Back in Chicago for the extended crisis, the climax unfolded in heated living room discussions, his father discharged but frail, accusing Emilio of abandoning the family in crisis. Misunderstandings escalated, voices rising over past betrayals, the pain of years of hiding surfacing fully. Emilio countered with truth, the sacrifice of leaving to preserve his sanity, the consequence of their prejudice now evident in the strained relationships. David waited outside, offering perspective after each confrontation, helping Emilio process the raw emotions without retreat. Deep conversations with Sophia revealed her own struggles with family expectations, her attempts to advocate met with resistance. Maria cried, sharing regrets, the birthday toast a turning point she wished undone. Carlos listened more than spoke, his health scares softening edges, but pride still blocking full apology. The tension peaked one evening when old prejudices resurfaced, prompting Emilio to reaffirm boundaries, his exit this time deliberate and empowered. The family watched him leave again, the regret palpable in their eyes, the understanding dawning that words once spoken carried lasting weight. Emilio and David boarded the plane home, the trip marking growth, not defeat, the high point of standing firm amid chaos. Reflections on the plane solidified his journey, the conflicts forging resilience, the high sacrifice of distance yielding clarity. Settling back into San Francisco life felt like returning to solid ground, the city's energy mirroring Emilio's renewed sense of self. One evening on their rooftop terrace, overlooking the sparkling skyline, he and David embraced warmly, the moment capturing pure contentment and deep connection, the bright evening glow wrapping them in peace. Career thrived, friendships flourished, and the bond with David strengthened through shared adventures, the romantic joy evident in everyday gestures. Family outreach came gradually, Sophia emailing updates, his mother sending a card with tentative words of pride in his independence. Carlos remained silent, but indirect hints through family suggested reflection, the regret over the birthday words, and the departure growing as holidays passed without Emilio. Emilio responded with measured openness, setting terms for future contact, the partial reconciliation honoring his growth while acknowledging their efforts. The journey, complete from the party humiliation to empowered living, illustrated the power of choices and consequences. True or false, family love is unconditional only when it accepts who we truly are.